As a fan of Street Fighter and someone who appreciates fighting games, I've gathered 7 of the best and biggest secrets about the characters in Street Fighter. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and feel free to comment your thoughts on the video or suggest new topics for the channel. Have you ever noticed the skull necklace Dhalsim wears around his neck? But why skulls? What's the story behind this peculiar necklace? In fact, these skulls belong to the children from the village where Dhalsim lived. In the past, a devastating plague struck the area, taking the lives of many children. However, Dhalsim didn't create the necklace out of disrespect or anything macabre. On the contrary, he made it as a symbol of remembrance and a reminder of his duty to protect his people at all costs. Every time Dhalsim looks at the necklace, he remembers the responsibility he carries. Of course, he could have chosen any other object to symbolize the protection of the children, but given Dhalsim's character, it's not surprising he opted for something so unique. And speaking of that, you'll find plenty more curiosities like this in this video.
I've spent so long thinking only of defeating Ryu, feeling like a loser. But now, I realize that winning is of little consequence.
The huge scar on Sagat's chest, along with his iconic eye patch, is one of his trademarks. But do you know the story behind this scar? Well, this time, it was Ryu who left it with a powerful Shoryuken. During an intense battle, Ryu was on the verge of defeat, and his thirst for victory became so overwhelming that he let himself be consumed by his dark side, known as Satsui no Hado, or Evil Ryu, to win the fight. At that moment, he struck Sagat with brutal force, leaving a permanent mark on his chest. I won't go into too much detail about this battle in this video, but one thing is for sure, Ryu left his mark forever on Sagat's body. And speaking of Sagat, he's one of the most amazing characters in the Street Fighter franchise. I can't wait to see him in Street Fighter 6. Let's talk about one of Bison's 3 companions alongside Sagat and Balrog, Vega. What you might not know is that Vega doesn't wear his mask to hide his identity or just for style, but to protect his perfect face from scars and cuts. He considers himself incredibly handsome, a true narcissist, and any scratch could ruin his flawless appearance. Usually, we only see Vega without his mask after a victory, when he strikes a pose, or when he takes too much damage and the mask falls off. Since his first appearance in Street Fighter 2, this has been part of his identity, and it continues to be so to this day. Interestingly, in Street Fighter 5, you can remove both his mask and his claw and fight without them. Even though this theoretically makes his face more vulnerable, it doesn't change anything in practice, as the health bar drains the same way, mask or no mask. Let me know if you'd like to see Vega in Street Fighter 6.
How's our patient doing? Any pain or discomfort?
Let's find out Cammy's real name. Or did you think she was always called Cammy White? In the events of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Cammy is part of a squad called Delta Red, and her current outfits are inspired by the uniforms of this group. When the leader of Delta Red found her unconscious, with no knowledge of her name or origin, the only clue was a pendant with a code, CAM 740106. He assumed CAM was an abbreviation of Cammy, and that 740106 represented her date of birth, June 1st, 1974. As for the surname White, it was likely chosen to symbolize her blank past, as Bison had erased her memory. Quite creative on Capcom's part. So, if you thought Cammy White was her real name from the beginning, you were wrong. That name was just a production code, used back when she was one of Bison's dolls. If she has a real name, only Capcom can tell. In an interview during a Japanese event in 1998, producer Noritaka Funamizu revealed that Guile's overall appearance was inspired by Jean-Pierre Polnareff, a character from the manga series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Guile's look was partly inspired by a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure character, because as you know, everything is a JoJo reference.
Interestingly, Dhalsim was also influenced by this same manga series. In the first drafts of Guile's design, he already had his signature vertical hairstyle, but it was much more modest, similar to the look of the character from the manga. During the creative process, one of Capcom's pixel artists playfully exaggerated Guile's hair to the sides. The team found the result so fun that they decided to keep the style, and that's how Guile's eccentric hairstyle became one of his trademarks. A hairstyle you'll probably only see in video games. Akuma is one of the most beloved and overpowered characters in fighting games. After destroying an entire island, it's pretty clear how powerful Akuma is, and he definitely likes to show off. A detail on his kimono says a lot about him, especially since he makes a point of displaying the symbol on his back every time he wins a fight or uses the famous and beautiful Shun Goku Satsu, which indicates it holds great significance. The Japanese kanji on his kimono has various meanings, and one of them can be translated as heaven. This seems to contradict Akuma's demonic origins, but the symbol refers to the heavens, paradise, or a higher plane. Honestly, I always thought the translation would be something much darker, something more devilish. Everyone knows that Interpol agent Chun-Li, the most beautiful Chinese woman in fighting games, has disproportionately large legs, especially in Street Fighter 4, and her kicks are strong enough to knock down any big guy, no matter how tough he is. Many people say this is the result of her intense leg-focused training, which makes sense. But the real explanation is much more pervy than that. During the development of Street Fighter 2, the game's soundtrack composer, Yoko Shimomura, asked Chun-Li's creator, Akira Yasuda, why her legs were so disproportionately large. And the answer was a huge shock. Yasuda confessed that he had a big fetish for thighs. That's right, Chun-Li's legs came straight from his fantasies. The answer, as you can imagine, made the composer a bit uncomfortable, but it revealed what many players had suspected since the fighter's debut in 1991. Those huge legs didn't just come from intense training. These franchises love a good fetish, and I'm sure you enjoy it too when Capcom explores the beauty of its female characters. That's it, folks. These were 7 of the best secrets about the Street Fighter characters. There are plenty of other interesting secrets, but these were handpicked for this series on the It's Great Games channel. Feel free to comment if you already knew about these curiosities and which Street Fighter character you'd like to see in a future video.